Hello, everyone, from a cold and rainy evening in the Bay Area. I hope you are all, I assume you are all much warmer and in a sunnier situation than myself. But we're
Yeah.
excited to talk with you all today.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Hi, Kathleen.
Right.
And fortunately, I am from sunny Singapore, so very much enjoying along with all other participants here. Welcome, everybody. My name is Anuj Jain, and I'm the director Activate Global SG. I'm here with Sarah, who is executive vice president for Activate Global, and we have Caitlin, who is very kind enough to actually making sure that this magic happens. All of us together here. Many of you were there potentially on the launch at Switch when we launched this very unique and one of its kind fellowship. It's a collaboration between Activate Global, which is a very, very proven playbook of enabling science entrepreneurs, and they have tremendous success. You can check it on the website, and a partnership with NTU, which is a host institution in Singapore. But it's not limited to NTU as it is a nationwide initiative, as you all know. All institutes, autonomous universities, and A Star are part of this. It's funded by NRF and is supported by Enterprise Singapore. So it's true blue endeavor to enable the best science entrepreneurs building companies globally and by immersing into the US ecosystem of venture capital and industry partners, but also having onshore bespoke mentoring and various other good things that you have already understood from various emails and website. Today, obviously, thanks for applying, and objective is very clear to understand the nuts and bolts of this very comprehensive application process and the selection, which is very stringent because the prize at the end of it is rather prestigious as well as very exclusive. So we are looking forward to build this relationship. And without further ado, I will invite Sarah. Sarah Morel, as I mentioned, is the executive vice president, but I'll leave her to introduce herself and then take you through this whole process and a couple of other housekeeping things that feel free to write in the chat any questions that you may have. Caitlin and I will try to address as we go along, and we'll try not to interrupt Sarah, too much because there's enough to cover. At the end of her session, we will then have hand raise modality to have a one-on-one interaction, and we can unmute you. Is that fine, Sarah? Have I covered everything, or you
I
want
think I
something?
think we did it. Thank you.
Perfect. So over to you, and
Great.
all the very best to everyone.
Great. Thank you. Hi everyone. Again, my name is Sarah Morrill. I'm the Executive Vice President at Activate Innovation Lab. And I have the awesome job of working at Activate, who we run a program here in the US, but I get to work on our new initiatives that include our global expansion into new regions. And so Singapore is our first, and part of the reason that we are coming to Singapore is because the incredible talent that is in Singapore and is on this call today. We are really excited to meet all of you all and engage with you throughout the application process. The goal of the conversation today is really to get into some of those nuts and bolts because it is a very intensive and very rigorous application process. And we want to make sure that everyone has the knowledge that they need in order to navigate that process successfully. We wouldn't want any of those pieces to trip up, getting the best folks into this program. So I will go over a little bit the high level timeline for the application process. We'll talk about application eligibility criteria. And then I'll get into some of the details of the application portal. I know some of you have already got your profile set up in there and are working through it, but we'll walk through that step by step. And then I'll dive a little bit more into the actual application questions and materials and can try to shed a little bit of light on what we're looking for in those different pieces. And then, like Anuj said, we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. Please do keep the chat lively, and Caitlin and Anuj will do their best to respond as they can. And then if there are things that they can't or are worth discussing as a group, we will take the time to do that at the end. All right, so let's start at the kind of at the 10,000 feet elevation level of for the application process. So we are here in this first window of time where applications are open and being accepted. So the first is an eligibility application, and so this is helping us to understand if your project is eligible for the program before you get into the full application, which, like I said, is lengthy, and we want to make sure that it is like the best use of your time, knowing that you are eligible to get this award at the end. Then we have a part what's called an internal credibility screen, which is when we do our first review of the applications to really get in a little bit more into the details to ensure technology fit and criteria before we do an external technical review. So Activate, we have been around for 10 years and have cultivated a huge network of technical experts, and each application is reviewed by at least three technical experts in the field that the technology is applicable to. And then those expert reviews are sent to the selection committee. And they spend their time internally reviewing all of that feedback from the external reviewers, as well as the complete application. And this first part is really focused, these first pieces are really focused on the technology. Activate is known for and places an incredibly high bar on the technology that we bring into the program. We really want to find the technology that has potential for huge impact at scale. And so this is where a lot of times we spend talking about like, you know, can it be true? And if it's true, how much will it matter? And that's what we spend a lot of time talking about in those first phases around the technology. After that, there will be 20 to 25 applicants that will be selected to do an interview, a video interview with the selection committee. So all of the committee members will have a one-on-one panel conversation with the applicant, where they'll ask more questions about the motivation and drive behind the application, as well as clarifying any technical questions that have come up. From there, 10 applicants will make it to the finalist stage. We do hold a finalist event just to let the finalists get to know each other, as well as kind of explain what the finalist week looks like. Because in that finalist week, the finalists will do a presentation, a 7 to 10 minute presentation in front of an audience about their technology. And then the audience will have time for question and answer. A lot of those technologists and experts that I talked about in the first cycle of expert review, they come to these finalist events. And then we ask them to ask questions so that we can continue to understand the implications of the technology impact. And so that is a very fun week. Well, fun for us for sure, where we get to see these incredible finalists who have really exciting technology present their ideas to the community. And then after that week is when we select the the five candidates who we would be extending the fellowship offers to. Um, so that is the timeline. So just as you know, from where we are now, we would be making offers at the start of July. So as you can see, like it is a very like intensive process, and there's a lot of steps which is why we have take the time to have this call to walk through it. Okay, let's get into eligibility. Like I said, that is the first gate of the application process. So we want to make sure, and this is where we get the most questions. So I'm sure there will be a lot today as well. So there are two kind of buckets that our eligibility requirements fall into. There is the actual like entrepreneur or entrepreneurs if you're co-applicants, and then there's the project, the technology. So first of all, this program, if you saw in one of the icons on the first slide, is funded by the National Research Foundation. We are so grateful for them to be supporting the continued commercialization of research that they have been supporting for years in Singapore. So we do fund technology specifically coming from commercialization from a Singapore institution of higher learning, AU or A-star. If your technology, if your IP is private IP or IP that is coming from a different institution, and you are a Singaporean resident or a citizen or permanent resident, you may still be eligible. There's some NRF has we have some flexibility on that piece, but you have to either at least be a Singaporean resident or have the IP coming from a Singapore institution. We do require bachelor's degree and a minimum of 4 years of post baccalaureate scientific research, engineering, or technology development experience. That does not have to be in the form of a PhD, although most of our fellows have either have an advanced degree, either master's or PhD. You must be willing and ready and excited to establish a company in Singapore. That's this whole program is about running a company in Singapore. And so you do have to be ready to incorporate the company and commit to work full time on the company if you are awarded the fellowship. So that is the big commitment, the leap that our fellowship enables is for folks to really, go full time to make their venture happen. Folks do need to be able to communicate proficiently in English. And there will be trips to the United States as a part of this program. And so participants must be able to legally travel to the US during the fellowship. Okay, so that's the people. That's the people. Then there's the project. So the project must be in the physical or biological sciences or related engineering disciplines. In specifically at this time, we do not support life sciences that are solely related to mammalian health applications. And really the line is if your product or project has to go through the health and medical regulatory process, this is not a program that is focused on helping people navigate that process. So if you instead are like, if it is a drug, for example, if it is pharmaceutical drug, that is not in our scope to support. There's a lot of great medical accelerators out there that we're happy to point people to and drug development, but that is not what we specialize in at Activate. It also must be early in your commercialization journey, still in development and not yet ready for full-scale product sales at the time of the application. And you must not have raised more than 2 million in dilutive funding. And that is really about our program is about supporting hard tech development or deep tech development before the VCs and the market are ready to take it, right? And so we help you get to that point. But the rationale there is if you've already secured 2 million in private funding, then the market is already ready to support you. We really focus, and that connects to that, product sales question as well. Like we were really supporting companies before they're ready for that private investment. We help them get there and get that money. And then like same with on the eligibility side or on the entrepreneur side, you have to be either recently incorporated. It's okay if you are already incorporated, or you will be ready to incorporate by the start of the program. Like I said, this is an area where our eligibility, we get a lot of questions because every case has a lot of nuance. And I really, really, really strongly request, we've tried to build out our FAQ page as much as possible to detail out some of the common questions and around eligibility that we get. But if you read all that FAQ and you're like, I still do not understand if I'm eligible for this program, please email us at singapore@activate.org and tell us a little bit about what your question is and what your situation is, and we will let you know if you're eligible or not. All right, just some things that are not required. You do not have to have experience as an entrepreneur. We like them green. We are here to support first-time founders. That's a big piece of what we do. If you have started, if you have started a company before, but your company has not, if you've had a like, a big exit, this is not the program for you. This is for our first time founders. So you really do not have to have any entrepreneurial experience before. I mentioned before, a PhD is not required. We do see that the majority of our folks are getting those 4 years of post bachelor's technical training through either master's or PhD programs, but it's not required if you have an equivalent work experience. Definitely don't have to have an incorporated company, but like I said, you have to beforehand. You also don't have to have already defined what your product or your revenue stream will be. Like part of our program is helping you figure out that path to market and figuring out what the first product will be. And we also don't have any career stage limit. You could be, just coming out of school. You could be further on and more senior in your career. There's no career stage limit to apply. And this just gets into a little bit more about the areas of technology. I said physical or biological sciences or related engineering fields. These are explicitly the 16 vertical areas that we support technologies across. Again, they're very broad. I mean, we really talk about like if you're building in atoms, we support folks that are building in atoms. And so again, like take a look at the FAQs and reach out if you have specific questions about your technology. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of how to apply and the application portal. Okay, so step one, which I mentioned, is this eligibility check. Okay, so the first piece that you need to do is to submit your eligibility. There's both questions about the participant to ensure eligibility as well as the project. So you'll complete the requested information in the eligibility check, including adding a co-applicant as a collaborator if desired, and then you will submit that. We are working to move through our eligibility screens as quickly as we can, or our goal is to get back to you in a week max. Thank you for your patience as we are working through some of the kinks and bumps in this road, but you should hear from us within a week, and feel free to reach out to Singapore at Apply if you have not heard back in a week. The other thing is that you will also, if there are questions about your eligibility or things that were unclear based on your application, we might reach out from that email to further clarify to ensure that you are eligible. So please do just like keep an eye out for those emails and let us follow up with any additional information so we can make sure that you're eligible. While the full application is due at the end of March, the eligibility applications are due March 13th. That just allows us and you enough time to actually complete the full application prior to the March 31st deadline. So the eligibility one it's really quick. It's really simple, and so please do get that in, and then you can start on the meat of the application. When you go to the website, you will need to create a profile. So if you have already created your profile, you'll come back and log in, and if you have not, then you need to register. Once you register and you come back to the page, you'll click on the Activate Global Fellows Singapore program, and then you'll click this green button to apply. From there, one thing to take, from there, you'll go into your portal, and you will just take note of your application ID. There'll be lots of times that you need to reference that as part of the application process. So just take note of that. But I mean, you'll see it every time that you log in. And then here you can see there are just two tasks for the eligibility screen, putting in your information as well as some information about your project. And then from there, after you have completed the all of the pieces of information, input your piece of information, there's a green button to click submit. You'd be surprised how often people forget to click submit. So you have to just once you make sure that you click that button. And then, like I said, we're trying to do our best to turn around eligibility reviews within a week. And if you are eligible, you will get this email that will. Oh, sorry. This is first just sorry, this is the confirmation that you have completed the eligibility. You'll first get you should get an email that says, yep, we got it. So if you didn't get that email, go back and make sure that you clicked that submit button. Um, okay, and then like I said, you will get an email that says once you are deemed eligible, you'll get an email to go to the application portal, log in to your account, and begin the full application. You'll fill out the application. You'll do. There's also a set of application materials that you'll need to create and upload, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And then you will need to click submit after all five tasks have been completed. This is the actual email that you will get after you have completed your eligibility screen. And so it will this is it'll have your name up here and then your access full application, a link here, and that'll take you straight to your application. So you see that like application number is there and you click start to get going. This is what it will look like in the application portal. There are 5 tasks to complete as part of the application, and we'll get into more of that. And as you click on each one to complete all of the questions within each task. Once you have completed all of those questions within each task, it'll have a little green check like that. You must complete all of the tasks prior to submitting. However, you don't have to complete them in the exact order. You can jump around to complete them at your own pace and in your own order, as long as they're all completed. Okay, this is where we also see people make some mistakes. So I want to be really explicit here. So if you are applying with a co-applicant, so we do allow co-applicants who also meet the eligibility criteria laid out in the eligibility profile to apply as a team. And we really encourage folks to apply as a team if there's any chance that you think you will both be eligible, because it allows you both to access the support of the program. While there will only be one like living stipend total that is provided to the team, there's still a ton of benefit that can be gotten from the program, and those folks will still have the title of fellow, and be featured on our website. So there's a lot of benefit to applying as a co-applicant. So if you have a collaborator there's a task 1A and you just click add collaborator. What you'll need to do is enter their email address, and so that they will get an email for them to complete the information as the co-applicant. You can add a little message there, say, "Hey, Caitlin, let's do this, girl. Let's crush this application." Um, but yeah, so that they will get the email directly, and then their profile will be connected to this application, so you can then be completing it together. Okay, so you can see here after you have added, there'll be this is the this is the collaborators information here in this blacked out box. And now you can see instead of just 5 tasks, there are now some subtasks. So the co-applicant needs to independently fill out the applicant details. They need to submit a resume, and they also need to submit a personal statement. So task 1 through 3 both applicants need to complete it independently, right? They each will upload a resume. But tasks 4 and 5 on project information and technical vision, you'll work on together, and you just submit one project information section and one technical vision. Okay, again, back to the green submit. We love a green submit button. It's bold. It says click on me. So please don't forget to submit your application after you've completed the 5 tasks. When you have completed, you'll see this little box on your screen, and then you will also get an email so that you know that it has been submitted. If you don't get that email, go back and double check and make sure that you click submit. Um, Okay, just some troubleshooting here from our wizards behind the scenes who run this portal. Tasks typically have multiple pages, so just make sure you're going through all of it. I mentioned this here. You can go out of order, but you can, click around as you go. It will ask you to save the page, so make sure you hit save. And I mentioned this that you'll each have to do tasks 1 through 3, but both applicants can edit tasks 4 and 5. And then, of course, our email is there if you're having trouble. If you're having technical difficulties with the site, there is a spot to click. You go up in the corner, info, and then if you're having specific technical issues, you can fill out a form to let us know. Um, okay. So that is really the nuts and bolts of like that system and what you're going to have to do in the portal. We're going to get a little bit more into just kind of some of the details of the like substance here. Um, so going back to this like co-applicant piece, you are if you are both eligible and leaders in the same project or company apply as co-applicants. If there becomes a place where you say actually one of you is like not going to be eligible, that won't like disqualify your whole project. It just will help us, make sure that we have all the people in that we can. I mentioned this that we only provide one living stipend, but we can, we default to the individual to be funded as the principal applicant. But when if a team, a co-applicant gets further along in the process, and there's some things that we want to like shift, that's a conversation that we can have like with finalists once they have like reached that point. Um, However, co-applicants cannot be added after the application deadline. So that's why, like, if you think you should be potentially maybe a co-applicant, apply as a co-applicant. And then, like, if it ends up not being eligible, fine, but default to adding a co-applicant if you have one.
Hey, Sarah, there's a
Yeah.
few people wondering if the co-applicant also needs to agree to be 100% on the project.
Yes, co-applicants also need to be full-time on the project. Okay. Uh, Application materials. Um, there are um, there are 3 things that you need to upload for sure, and then a fourth one that is optional. So the 1 page resume, and this is for both applicants if needed. A 3 page technical vision PDF document, and a 3 to 4 slide technical reality deck. We also do allow supporting documentation, a PDF that includes 1 to 2 pages. But we are very strict on these page limits. Your PDFs cannot exceed the specified page limits. Um, we do provide formatting guidelines provided in the instructions. And so please do follow those. And then I mentioned about this applicant ID. We do ask that your applicant ID is on all of these materials, and that's clear in the formatting guidelines. But it allows us to just keep better organized within the system. Okay, so let's talk about your resume. So every applicant needs to submit a 1 page resume. Um, we do ask that in the template it says like applicant ID, replace that applicant ID or that phrase with your actual applicant ID. So you need to, if you're using the template. And like I showed you where you can find that in your application. And then you do need to please PDF your resume to using that file format to 1 page length, no spillover. And then we get to know a little bit about you, your personal statement. So, as part of the application, you are going to write responses in 250 words or fewer to these following questions. And the purpose of this is to really understand what motivates you and what you are like excited about for this journey. At Activate, we really believe in supporting people because people are ultimately the biggest factor in whether this technology is going to be successful or not. And so it's really important for us to know you really well. Not that because we're looking for people who already like know how to start a business, because we're looking for really the raw talent and excitement to go on this journey. So please do be really like open and candid in these responses. I will say the more that we really get to know people, like I think any hiring process, the more that we can really like engage authentically and get to know you, the better for everyone to find the fit for the program. Um, I think the first two I think are pretty self-explanatory. That the third one I want to just call out. Activate. Our mission actually is that we build the community that turns science into impact. We really believe that we have supported over 230 companies in the U.S. Over 300 fellows are now part of our fellow and alumni network, and we really believe that that community is what continues to spin the flywheel to support these companies to continue to accelerate over time. Really being an Activate fellow is a lifelong honor, and the community that is incredibly like supportive of each other is something that continues to just pay dividends to everyone who is a part of it. So we really want to understand how you think you would contribute to that fellowship community. And then this final one is just an excuse me. Just having you reflect on a time when you were able to mobilize resources that were not actually under your direct control. You saw a problem that was maybe out of the scope of what you were directly responsible for, and you were able to figure out a way to solve it. Okay, so that's about the you. Now we get into more of the technology. So there's two pieces that you're submitting around your technology. There's your technical vision document and then the technical reality slides. So for this first piece, it is about what do you want to do with your technology? So you're describing your vision, describe the science and the engineering behind the core innovation. What are you trying to do? How long will it take? What resources do you need? And help us understand what is different about what you are doing versus how it is done today. Um, we also want you to give your best guess on market viability. Again, you do not need to have like figured out exactly what your product market fit is. That is part of what this program is about. But we do want to understand what you like your initial thinking on where this can really provide value. And we have some resources to help you to get you started thinking about the technology through the lens of value creation in the market. Um, then we want to hear a little bit about the milestones and risks. What are the things that need to be continued to be de-risked in your technology, as well as what could be risks in the market, and how do you think you could mitigate those risks? And then finally, Activate is about deep tech for good. So we want to understand how your technology will contribute to a better world. We are not solely climate focused. You saw at the start, we have like 16 areas. There's so much that the world needs in terms of technology to help make it a better place. But we do want to hear how your technology is going to have an impact at scale. Um, okay, so we also included the template here to help you. So you can do 2 pages on what you want to do with your technology, and then 1 page just getting into the details of like the technical weeds. Take us into the technical weeds. And you can use like text, diagrams, photos, analysis is totally fine if applicable. And if you have any like reference publications, you can include those in the supporting document. We do have this template, excuse me, that you can use for this technical vision document. But please do save it as a PDF, so that we can it'll be compatible with our files. All right. Technical reality. So we do not want you to think about these slides as a VC or business plan pitch. This is not your pitch. You are gonna, for those of you that are finalists, you will craft something that is a bit more like friendly to a broader audience. But this is really this is about concrete, detailed information on your project to complement that higher level vision document that you created. So this is where you can really get into the technical jargon and or like shorthand to help you meet the slide limits if needed. Um, it is like the reviewers will have access to your previous written to the technical vision document. It is still best to provide explanation of graphic and photos to enable these slides to be we would want them to be mostly standalone. But this is really where you can get into that technical details. So to do 1 to 2 slides with those technical details on your proposed project that convey the current status of your technology. Again, this is really to get like this is technical reality. Like we want to understand there's the vision, right? Like what could be true, and then this is like the reality. Like what have you actually accomplished with this technology to date, and include all of the relevant data that you can to show that. Um, the second slide is progress on any first product or potential business model. Again, this is where I reference we do have a series of 6 5-minute videos that previous applicants have said have been really helpful in creating this slide. Again, you do not have to have your business plan developed. You do need to have like some thinking about where this could be applicable in the market. And then we want to hear your one year work plan. So talk a little bit about like what are the near term risks, what are the milestones. This is really helping us understand what are you going to do in this year-long program. What are the things that you're going to accomplish, and how are you already thinking about the things that you're going to tick off to really make best use of the year? No smaller than 11 point standard font, English, and again that PDF is important. Okay, definitely do follow the formatting guidelines. Makes it way easier. Especially like it can make your application ineligible if you do not adhere to those guidance. Um, Answer the questions with your personal judgment and expertise. We want to get to know you and your innovation. And there's no one like, oh, this is what they want to hear. Authenticity will beat trying to tell us what we want to hear every time. And then there is the optional documentation. Please do feel free to use that, but we do not want to see letters of recommendation in that additional documentation. Research papers, models, analyses, etc. Don't sign up for multiple applications with multiple emails. One application per cycle, and then we do only allow one collaborator. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. Perfect timing. I said we wanted to do 20 minutes for questions. Gold star for me. Um, yeah, do please visit the website. And then, yes, sorry, super important. Please join us in person. I'm getting on a plane to Singapore soon, and I'm very excited to hopefully get to meet some of you in person. We will be at stage 1 on February 25th, and you can click the link to RSVP. We'll be sharing this, obviously. And then email singapore@activate.org with any questions. Oh, this slide got
Just to add, this is Block 69 in Ayaraja. Stage 1 is the ACE facility you may all be knowing, but just look up. It's in Ayaraja space Block 69.
Yeah, I hope to see many of you there. Whew, all right, let me just take a sip of water. There was a lot of talking on my part. Thank you all for your patience.
I know. No, thank you so much, Sarah. I think very comprehensive and parallelly, I'm sure everybody can see there are a lot of question answers and there are pretty good questions. So thank you for all these questions. Helps clarify. Um, in case anybody wants to, have a chat, we can unmute. Please raise your hand and then, Sarah and I can look into these questions one on one. And feel free to keep writing on chat in case you don't want to discuss with us today. So if there's no raised hand, I will wait for the chat questions. Any other questions on qualifications, eligibility? I think there is another one that's coming in just now. Where is it? Okay.
Oh, yep, we have a hand raised
Okay.
from Dominicus.
Sir, I'm not able to see the hand raise, so why don't you just
I got
organize
it.
it? Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Maybe I do. Why is it? There we go. Thanks,
Yeah.
Caitlin.
Hello. Can you
Hi.
guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you
What's your
guys hear
question?
me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
All right. So thanks for the session. Very informative, very useful. And my question is related to the while filling in the information, I saw there is this options whether I want to allow the team to share this information with external partners. And there are several options. One of it is to include everything, but not the technical vision part. And is that how protective is it? Because I want to put as much information, right, for the
Yeah.
technical people to understand it, and but also in terms of IP, you want to make sure
Hmm.
someone doesn't disclose this and build something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean that is always a tricky like balance and want you to submit what you feel comfortable. The more that you can submit, the more that we're able to better assess the application. I mean, we do vet like the big the sharing is really with those our network of external reviewers, which who do sign something to like sign contract with us to like keep confidential. But it is like, it's a line that only you can kind of draw for your technology, and what you feel comfortable. It's not going to be, we're not putting it on the internet, or dropping it into an LLM. It is about that technical reviewer, network that is who we would share it with.
I see. Okay, that's perfect. I mean, that's a lot of assurance knowing that this goes only, one layer, and then it's already, there is NDA or working relationship between these
Yeah.
folks and Activate. All right. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, Dominic. Any other questions? I think there are question answers coming. Where is it coming?
Oh yeah.
So Sarah, we have a question.
Yep.
How far would Activate support the finalist in terms of TRL development?
Yeah.
Do you see that one?
Yep. How much order element can achieve through Activate? I think this question is asking about which TRL levels we support. And yeah, I mean, we don't have a hard and fast rule. Like, there's so many pieces that go into a successful company, especially on the tech and market side. And it might be that like the tech is like a TRL 4 or 5, but has like not identified like a viable market, right? Or there might be that so there is a balance, I would say. Typically, in the Activate Fellowship, we're looking at between TRL 2 and 5. And that's typically where folks come in. Obviously, there's a bell curve, but that's typically the, yeah. Let me know if I answered your question. Anonymous attendee is what it says. So I don't I don't know if what your name is, but yeah, please let me know. if that answered or not. Okay, I see. Yeah, I got into the, okay, thanks for, I really appreciate it.
Sarah, there is a question from Tian Fu Kong saying, I'm a research fellow at NTU. I'm currently leading a project to develop a portable point of care urine osmometer, into diagnosis. Since this is a hardware-based medical device aimed at commercialization, wanted to ask, is this type of diagnostic technology eligible for Activate Fellowship? I believe so,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yeah. We often have diagnostic technology that is, yeah, in the program. So, without knowing more details, I think that that would, yeah, be eligible.
All right. And we've got Philip with his hand raised. So there we are, Philip. You can come off mute.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Just a quick question. So my co-founder is a senior research fellow at NTU, and through this conversation, you've mentioned that it's intended to allow the scientists and engineers to get confidence, and you help them through the commercialization. I'm not a scientist, but I am 25 years commercializing and doing businesses. So
Mhm.
we've teamed up. How does that fit within your program? Obviously, the funding is very important. We're at TRL 3.4, so all funding is important, but we're quite mature on the commercial side. Does that ironically count against us in an application process?
So unfortunately, it will probably count against you, but not your co-founder. So this could actually be a case where your co-founder is eligible to be an Activate fellow, and we would be providing them with mentorship, and you would be very welcome at a lot of the events and like, things that we are doing. But it would probably be the case that they would be a part of the program, and you would not be a part of the program.
Yeah, okay, because I'm the permanent resident, and they're the US citizen
Oh,
who's
interesting.
coming over.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay.
complex picture we've got.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, I think I've seen an email from yours come through. Let's connect
We can talk offline, but I
bit
just wanted
more.
to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a puzzle pieces that you all have put together. Excuse me.
All
Okay.
right. Next up is Radapool.
Great.
Radapool, you can come offline or off
Hello.
mute.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Is this program open for space tech, like space or satellite technology kind of thing?
Yes, absolutely. We do support a fair amount of companies deploying space tech. Again, it's depending on the technology itself, as long as it is a deep tech technology. Atoms not bits is our thing. So lots of opportunity in the space market right now. So yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe especially in US. By the way, just one more question, right? I'm not really familiar with the sharing the IP or own the IP by some other organizations. Would you mind to tell me one big pro and one big cons that if we kind of going along with your program? I mean, just in case that we are successfully done and be able to join your program, what is the pro and con of that? I'm not sure. Is it a too strong question?
The pro and con, like the con of joining the program?
No, the con of I mean, I heard that we have to share the intellectual property with
No.
the A star. No, no need.
No, 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 we do. I mean, so there is a preference for technology that is being licensed out of a Singapore institution, autonomous university, or A-Star. But it's not solely exclusively for that. And we do not, yeah, there's no yeah, we didn't say this, it's on the website, but like this program does not take any equity in the companies that we support. Activate's a nonprofit. This is being funded by the National Research Foundation, who also does not take equity in the companies that they support. So yeah, there's no.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. I think I misunderstood on that.
Yeah, the
Can
company the company controls the IP. Yep.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
By the way, I mean, if we join the program for a year, right? I mean, in case that we are selected, and then afterward, what is if you can recommend a right path after that? I mean, in order to be a little bit more success, afterward.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, that is going to look different for every company. But that is a huge piece of, so I'll say, you know, at Activate, what we talk about a lot is that, you know, our goal is for our companies to finish the program with at least a year of runway in their sites if they are continuing with their company. They're choosing to continue, which
Oh, I see.
all of them do. So part of our program is to help you figure out what that path is through other accelerators or programs or investors, corporate partnerships. That's really what we do. Spend a lot of time doing is like figuring out, you know, what is your way what is your financial model, and how are you achieving those milestones through dilutive and non-dilutive measures to continue on past the year of the fellowship and hopefully up to scale and beyond. So you know, and a big part of what we do at Activate is leverage the network that we have, both here in the US, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to partner with a local institution like NTU, who has an expansive network within Singapore, where we've been working a lot with Enterprise Singapore, talking about what the path for different and support for different companies could be after the program. But that's what we spend a lot of time supporting you to figure out the best path for your tech and your company.
Okay, okay.
I would just like to add that I think this network, which is like an external network of industry, VCs, and accelerators, that is the core. But also the internal network. I think I've personally seen the way the founder community, Activate founder community in US. I think you will always be the selected fellows and co-fellows will be part of this community, and then this cross connection and having an inside route to the access of community of deep tech like-minded founders is very valuable even after first year. And I can only say that we are still working on some aspects, but watch this space. There are plans to, even after first year, how we can accelerate the journey further, but we can't share these plans right now. It's in the proposal stage. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I think that's all I got. It's been really amazing session. Thank you very much. Really appreciate to join you guys here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anuj, there's a question in the Q&A just around IP licensing from Singapore Institutes and A-Star and just that process. If you want to talk a little bit about that, we do, I will say, like, we do help, but I think the question is just, does Activate expect the applicant to have already negotiated this part by themselves, or does Activate help facilitate licensing negotiations?
No, so I don't think so. The Activate is going to help you negotiate for this, but Activate managing director and team at NTU, me and other people will be obviously will be by your side. So if the fellow is selected, we are one team and we are going to work on it. Now, are we going to work on your behalf? No, you have to, do your push-ups with the, identification of IP and licensing processes which are governed by each institute as they are. And it has to be relevant to your, and I'm talking to suppose somebody is a private IP or they have a IP and they want to stack up with an institute, you need to do it. But by being part of the Activate Global Fellows already, because all the institutes and A-Star is part of it and are supportive, I think these will be faster pathways. So I can only say that, but if you're expecting that somebody else is going to do it on your behalf, that won't be there.
And I do think, this is something that has come up with NRF and we are having conversations with the different partners at our partner institutions so that they are aware of like the need for these negotiations to move quickly for folks that we're seeing in the
Yeah.
process. And
Maybe.
so I would recommend that um, if you're applying, that's a process that we would encourage you to start like ASAP already. And then but we will continue to have conversations on behalf of the program of like ensuring that the participants are able to move through.
Yeah, I think it might be helpful for people who are still there to understand that for Activate Global Fellows program in Singapore, NTU is the host institution, but we have a very active working group which constitutes of NUS, A-Star, SMU, and even SUTD. So, and it's supported by Enterprise Singapore and is funded by NRF. So, literally, this is a national platform where all relevant, and it is not restricted to the working committee members only, it's across all autonomous universities. So you can see the will of each institute to support the fellows that have come up on top, and then all these pathways are going to be expedited and accelerated and work together to make it happen. Somebody has also asked, does having IP already negotiated from a Singapore institute, so almost really makes the applicant more competitive? So this is not the only standalone factor, but yes, definitely this is a very important criteria. So it weighs on that, but it's not the only one that you just have an IP, and I think it depends on so many other factors that Sarah mentioned, right, Sarah?
Yeah, and I think to the question of can it be done after selection? I think we would want to have the conversation with finalists. If someone was a finalist and had not started this process, we would want to get a real sense of what that working with their like already have conversation with their host institution to understand how long that would take. Because ultimately, like it's a year-long program, and the longer that you have freedom to operate during that year, the farther you're going to get. And so if this is something that you are even like considering, and especially if you get further in the start getting further in the application process, like this is a conversation that we would like encourage to happen ASAP, just so the folks can or the fellows can get the most benefit from the year that they're in the program. There was a question in the chat about the registration showing pending, that we are reviewing all of them, and they will be approved. Caitlin is magic. Caitlin is magic. Um,
Is there a threshold of TRL is the question, Sarah?
um, no, sorry, there is not a threshold for TRL. What happened to the 5 finalists that don't make it to the no, I mean, yeah, there is no sorry, we're only able to provide the support for like the 5 companies. So it could be up to 10 like fellows and co-fellows, 5 to be clear, 5 companies. For the 5 finalists that ultimately do not get funded, unfortunately, no, those folks can apply the next year, and that you are able to apply like, multiple years. But unfortunately we don't have the resources to support more than the 5 companies that we're funded for.
But I can only say anecdotally, I mean, once you're identified as the top 10, and suppose you're not, you're already in, because it's all institutes are working and there are parallel fellowships and so many things going on. I think it will even benefit from
100%. I mean, and that's true, in the US, like our fellows have said, like becoming a finalist, like one, you just get a lot of support to prepare for your finalist presentation, and that's really helpful. And then you get we invite a lot of people to this event and you get a lot of exposure. And so that can just help you in all kinds of other ways. So we really have gotten the feedback from like we know that the application process is not light. But we have gotten the feedback that it is really like, even for the folks that don't get in the program, that it is a really beneficial process to go through.
And I will say in the US, about 20% of our fellows are reapplicants.
Yeah.
So, you know, people who, if you apply this year and you don't get all the way through, people move their tech, move their company, change their market, and then apply again the next year with the stronger application and sometimes get in.
Yep. All right. I want to recognize that we are at time, and I think our Q&A box has, oh, no, it was just a
There's
thing.
one more.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope to see you on February 25th, and reach out if there are questions that come up in the meantime.
Exactly. And also, we have given the email repeatedly. Please
Yep.
ask questions in case you have any, edge cases or some complicated criteria to discuss. Right?
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you all.